really, 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 really,
Yeah, I see you,
really.
223.
Really ain't that nigga, think it's best if you go away. Really ain't that nigga, don't like fake niggas anyway. Really ain't that nigga suicide, please don't get too close, all bombs away. All bombs away, yeah. Really ain't that nigga, take a drive tryna find myself. Really ain't that nigga, kill that pride, gotta let it go. Really ain't that nigga, why you play me like a sucker for? Really ain't that nigga, I'm no player, ain't no savior in my nature, ho. Really ain't that nigga, I don't have to live my life to show. Really ain't that nigga, sit back thinking while I smoke a roach. Really ain't that nigga, I like sugar on my butter toast. Really ain't that nigga, not too arrogant, I don't mean to boast. Really ain't that nigga, I like spending most my time alone. Really ain't that nigga, I barely even like to talk on phones. Really ain't that nigga, so don't wanna hold you back, now go. Really ain't that nigga, paint a picture like Picasso. Really ain't that nigga, smoke a little just to help me cope. Really ain't that nigga, I'm a nut like pistachio. Really ain't that nigga, sometimes I lie like Pinocchio. Really ain't that nigga, that's my ego talking from a Four Loko. Really ain't that nigga, I wonder if you could help me grow. Really ain't that nigga, paint a picture like Van Gogh. Really ain't that nigga, I'm so lonely, call me Marilyn Monroe. Really ain't that nigga, kitty talking so I say hello. Really ain't that nigga, I'm just really slow. Really ain't that nigga, I just wanna flow. Really ain't that nigga, I just do not know. Really ain't that nigga, I just work and go. Really ain't that nigga, I don't even wanna hoe. Really ain't that nigga, walking through the snow like an Eskimo. Really ain't that nigga, I search through the shadows. Really ain't that nigga, my car got repo. Really ain't that nigga, I love me dominoes. Really ain't that nigga, I just like taking photos. Really ain't that nigga, I cut my hair off Amber Rose. Really ain't that nigga, cause my heart is froze. Really ain't that nigga, wish I could love you the most. Really ain't that nigga, I used to pick my nose. Really ain't that nigga, leave me alone. Loving you, loving you, loving you. Really ain't that nigga, gotta find my way home. Really ain't that nigga, I've been so alone. Really ain't that nigga, tryna find my way home. Really ain't that nigga, I've been lost like a soul. Really ain't that nigga, I need some self-control. Really ain't that nigga, always tryna reach my goal. Really, 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 really.